When it comes to boss battles in the Batman Arkham games, some bosses are the greatest fights in gaming, and others just make you question why even bother. So today I'm going to pick the best and worst boss battles of every mainline Batman Arkham game, and at the end I will rank them to see which are the overall worst and best boss fights, starting off with Batman Arkham Asylum. Batman Arkham Asylum is a little bit limited with variety when it comes to boss battles, with 3 out of the 12 being Scarecrow boss battles, 4 out of 12 being Titan boss battles, leaving the remaining 5 to be quite unique. Bane's boss battle was quite good, but it was just a stronger version of the Titan thugs. Harley Quinn's boss battle was really fun with the electric floors, but we weren't really fighting her, just her thugs, and we defeated her in a cutscene, so I don't know if that should really count. Killer Croc's fight was really fun, but it's hard to know whether or not this should be considered a boss battle, as we never directly fight one-on-one. In my personal opinion, I think Poison Ivy's fight is the best boss fight in Arkham Asylum. After collecting the spore samples from Killer Croc's cave, needed for the antidote for the Titan formula, we make our way to the botanical gardens to stop Ivy, as with her newfound strength, she is destroying the island due to Titan giving her a massive increase in power. Poison Ivy has 2 main attacks, one of them being shooting glowing orbs at Batman, and the other is grabbing Batman with her vines that come out from the ground. She also has mind-controlled Arkham guards that will attack you during this fight at certain points, and once you get her health low enough, her and her plant will collapse, giving you the opportunity to spray explosive gel on the protective shell and detonate. Doing this twice will be enough to defeat her. Poison Ivy's plant will freak out and start destroying the garden, leaving Batman with not much choice than to grapple away. Although I definitely don't consider it high up in the overall Arkham series, I still do find this a fun boss fight that will get you testing your timing of the dodge, where you have to time your dodge when Poison Ivy shoots the glowing orbs at you. Poison Ivy also tests your positioning and awareness, as she has members of Arkham Asylum staff under her control that you need to take out, and at the same time, she can make plants come up from the ground that can grab you, which can really knock a good chunk of your health if you're not careful. That's why Poison Ivy's fight is my favourite boss battle of Arkham Asylum. I think this is a pretty easy pick for the worst boss battle of Batman Arkham Asylum, which is the Joker Titan boss battle, and maybe this is a bad take, but honestly I don't really dislike this boss battle, it's just a bit disappointing. After attending Joker's party and taking on 2 of Joker's Titans, Joker reveals that he has Commissioner Gordon captured and plans to shoot him with a dart full of Titan. Batman dives in front of Jim, getting hit with the dart, but as Batman is trying to resist the change, Joker gets frustrated with Batman and decides to shoot himself with the Titan formula. We cut to Joker, who is now transformed into a Titan, picks Batman up and lifts him on top of the penitentiary, and then we get to the actual fight, which is sadly pretty poor, which is a shame as I feel Arkham Asylum is really a solid game with no big issues till this boss fight. Starting off, Joker will claw at you, which gives you the option to either run or dodge. After this, Joker will jump to a high point of the building while you take out his thugs, and due to Joker being so desperate for attention, he will get distracted by Jack Ryder's helicopter, which gives Batman the chance to use the Ultra Batclaw to pull him down. On the 3rd time of pulling Joker down, he will fall through the roof to be electrocuted. When he climbs back up, Batman punches him with explosive gel in order to defeat him and have him locked up again. Again, like I said, it's not the worst boss battle I've played. I've never dreaded playing it, but it's definitely the worst when compared to the others due to its repetitiveness, simplicity, and how short the fight actually is. So, Joker's final fight is my least favourite boss battle of Arkham Asylum. Next we have Batman Arkham City, and honestly this is a big step up from the previous game. We had Hammer and Sickle, who I found extremely fun to face against, due to the massive combos you can build up when going against them. We had Solomon Grundy, which is pretty unique, and I remember being confused as a kid because I thought Batman just casually killed someone not knowing anything about Grundy. Clayface was a cool idea in the theatre, and just having to continuously throw freeze grenades at him, then cut him up with a sword, was a really well thought out battle. Lastly, someone who I think just missed out was Ra's al Ghul, who I think had an amazing boss battle. I love how the 30 people surround Batman, preparing to attack in slow motion, where you have to rapidly spam counter. I love countering Ra's and then disorientating him so that we can attack him. Even the final blow where you hit Ra's head against the pommel of the sword and kick him away. I thought having the boss battle in a dream sequence was a really smart move, as you can go all out without having to worry if it's not realistic. But I think we all know what boss battle I will be choosing for the best boss battle. After defeating Ra's al Ghul and collecting his blood, which we need for the cure, we head back to the GCPD. But before we do, we get an interesting call from the Joker, saying that Batman betrayed him by working with Mr. Freeze and that 2 people can play at that game.
Ring, ring! What are you doing, Bats? I thought we were friends, working together and all that. You know, from where I'm lying, desperately clutching at what's left of my life, it seems like you betrayed me and started working with the walking icebox. Well, 2 can play at that game. Try and get back to that double-crossing snowman in the GCPD without my guys blowing your pointy head off. I double dare you.
After taking out Joker's thugs outside of the building, we head inside. Giving Mr. Freeze everything he needs, he manufactures the cure, but rather than giving Batman the vials, he places one in a vault and the other he crushes in his hand.
How are you feeling? You look unwell.
Give it to me.
I'm afraid I cannot do that, Batman. You have given me your last order.
Revealing to us that the Joker has Nora, his wife, and will not give Batman the cure until Batman brings her back to him. After refusing to help without getting the cure first, Freeze begins to attack, and we get what is considered one of the best boss battles in gaming. When I first started writing the script, honestly I was contemplating putting Ra's al Ghul ahead of Freeze, but the more I thought about the Mr. Freeze fight, the more I realised how genius it is. The running theme with the Batman Arkham games is having a big brute boss battle, which shows off Batman's combat ability, but something that is a core feature of the Batman games is the Predator sections, and a Predator boss battle was something we'd never done before. Rather than using Batman's strength, the focus is on 2 extremely intelligent men trying to outsmart each other. When Batman uses one technique to beat Freeze, Freeze will patch that vulnerability, forcing Batman to come up with a new technique each time. And from my childhood, I'd never experienced a game that did something as unique as this. What I feel it does differently is that when you're in a Predator section, you are in control. You tended to come up against weak enemies that you could easily take out with a silent takedown. But with Freeze, it either feels like he is in control or it is very evenly balanced. And to make things even tougher, Mr. Freeze has gotten rid of vantage points, so there's no easy escape for you, which I love. After hitting Freeze multiple times, Batman will take Mr. Freeze down and frantically punch him till he's defeated. Strangely though, as Batman is punching him, Batman hallucinates Mr. Freeze as the Joker, showing how his sickness is slowly getting worse. Batman opens the safe that Mr. Freeze used to store the cure, but it turns out that the last vial of the cure has been taken by Harley Quinn, meaning Batman will have to head back to the steel mill to regain possession before it's too late. My overall thoughts on the fight is that it is genuinely amazing, and Rocksteady took a huge risk focusing on a boss battle that is not about how well the player can fight, but how well a player understands the game and its features. That's why Mr. Freeze's boss battle is my favourite boss battle of Arkham City. Moving on to what I think is the worst, and this is an easier pick than Titan Joker in the Asylum. The worst boss battle in Arkham City is Deadshot. After investigating all 3 crime scenes, Batman gathers enough evidence to locate where Deadshot is operating. When we arrive to the location, we can find Deadshot's weaponry and a PDA, which, if you didn't know, is a personal digital assistant. The importance of this PDA is that it has Deadshot's information, which Batman is able to access using the cryptographic sequencer. On the PDA, Batman discovers that the next target on Deadshot's list is Jack Ryder, Bruce Wayne, and lastly Batman. Deadshot plans to assassinate Ryder in 2 minutes, but luckily Batman arrives in time to save him. Deadshot is furious at Batman for making him miss his target, and then we get the boss battle, which is pretty awful. The reason it's so bad is just how linear it is. Basically, if you're seen, you're dead, and the only way to beat him is if you go underneath the helipad and do a takedown on him from the vent, and that's it. Batman, while Deadshot is unconscious, traps him in a carriage by the museum in the Bowery. Batman leaves coordinates of Deadshot's location for Commissioner Gordon to arrest him later, which means case closed for the side mission Shot in the Dark. A really good build up to a really poor resolution, and you may think that coming up with a boss battle is difficult for Deadshot, but only a couple of years later, a much better boss fight for Deadshot was created by WB Montreal. And don't get me wrong, the Arkham Origins boss fight wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it definitely was a lot more fun to play. For these reasons, I have to say that Deadshot's fight is my least favourite boss battle in Arkham City.
You made me miss my target, Batman!
If you're enjoying the content so far and want to support me further, please consider becoming a YouTube member. Link in the description of this video where you get a heap of benefits. Batman Arkham Origins is the 3rd game on this list, which weirdly has either extremely good boss battles, some of the best in the series, or some of the worst boss battles in the series. It's a really strange blend. On one hand, we have Bane, Deathstroke, Copperhead, just to name a few, which were really memorable. These were difficult but rewarding when you do actually end up beating them. With Bane, he has 2 really good unique boss fights where one, he will charge at you, but rather than the generic Titan fight that we see in Asylum, he will change directions and keep at you, which can be very hard to adjust, especially when starting out. Then the second fight, he's a ginormous monster pumped full of Titan, where it actually is a really impressive Predator type boss battle. Copperhead has a lot of similarities to Ra's al Ghul's fight with Batman being poisoned, and the multiple of the same enemies attacking and the charged attack, but still it's pretty fun. And then on the other hand, we had really bad and forgettable bosses, with some of them being basically just generic criminals, and even worse, some didn't even come with a health bar. But starting off with the best Batman Arkham Origins boss fight, and I'm sure you know what one I'm going for. Batman is looking for information about Black Mask and decides to head to Penguin's ship, the Final Offer, where a fight tournament is being held. Further into the story, Candy and the Penguin are torturing Alberto Falcone until Batman steps in and interrogates the Penguin, but before the Penguin can give Batman all the details, he is interrupted by the masked assassin who is Deathstroke. The fight personally is an extremely difficult one, especially when you first play it, as he has multiple phases. One where he has a staff, and he also uses just a sword. It definitely is a good test of patience, as if you go too much on the offensive, he will counter and hurt you. So there is a huge focus on timing, which took me years to figure out. Yes, there is a repeat of Ra's al Ghul's counter section, but with WB Montreal's lack of development time, I don't mind them taking shortcuts. Like, this is fine and it doesn't take away from the overall experience. Once you get Deathstroke's health low enough, Batman will get the upper hand, disarming Deathstroke and flinging a sword at him to distract him and then knock him out. Overall, this boss fight can be very difficult, but it does have a ton of variety. It's very well made and also very cinematic. That's why I have to say that Deathstroke is my favourite boss battle of Arkham Origins. As I said earlier, there are some really good boss battles of Arkham Origins, but there are also some pretty bad. Picking the worst one was quite difficult though, as some of these boss fights are very similar. The three that come to mind are Anarchy, Black Mask and the Bird. Anarchy's boss fight is extremely basic, with his only difference between him and a random thug is that he will jump over you if you try and use a special combo takedown. Anarchy did though have a pretty fun side mission trying to defuse his bombs before the timer runs out, so I don't mind it as much. Bird's side mission was pretty bad, where you just take out a bunch of thugs in the street and then fight Bird in the My Alibi nightclub. It felt like there wasn't too much thought process to this, and my guess is that they just wanted to pad out the game, which isn't too big of a deal in my personal opinion. But Black Mask has to be my pick for the worst fight in Batman Arkham Origins due to how dreadful it was. After destroying all the drug stashes bar one that Black Mask has scattered around Gotham, Batman will head to the church, and after a small Predator section, we destroy the final stash. Once that is dealt with, we are ambushed by Black Mask and his thugs. This leads us to an extremely basic fight, where Black Mask plays exactly like a normal thug, to the point where he does not even have a health bar, which is pretty crazy in my opinion. Even in this clip, I accidentally did a takedown on Black Mask when I wasn't thinking and expected him to counter, but no, that was him out for the count. Yes, I know Black Mask doesn't have any superpowers that I'm aware of in the Arkham universe, but I feel like a gang leader should be able to put up a better fight than a kid. After defeating him, Batman lets Alfred know that Black Mask has been dealt with and that the GCPD can find Black Mask tied up in the church. The frustrating thing I personally felt is that overall Black Mask was severely disrespected in the Arkhamverse. From small cameos in Arkham Asylum and City, to finally being apparently the main villain, to then being replaced by the Joker. At least he gets a much better and more enjoyable boss fight in Batman Arkham Knight, but as this is not the Arkham Knight boss fight, I will have to be picking Black Mask as my least favourite boss battle of Arkham Origins. Lastly, we have Batman Arkham Knight, and this may be a controversial opinion, but this game definitely has some of the lower ranking boss battles to the point where I struggled to pick any that I actually liked. The three good fights that come to mind are the Joker and Harley boss battle, which is pretty cool to have to fight two people at the same time. Black Mask was quite fun, but I feel like that was down to playing as Red Hood instead of Batman for a change. Johnny Charisma's bomb disarming section was definitely unique, but although it's considered a boss fight, personally I would not consider it, as there's not much of a fight going on, but I guess it's up to interpretation. With not really much option, I will have to go for the Joker and Harley Quinn boss fight in the Matter of Family DLC, which is probably my favourite out of a bad bunch. After defusing all the bombs and also saving the hostages, Robin is able to track down the location of Commissioner Gordon, so him and Batgirl head over and are met with the Joker, Harley and their thugs stopping them. Although this is not the most difficult of boss fights, I personally found it really enjoyable. Having a 2v2 boss fight is uncommon in the Arkham games, and that Joker and Harley are two different enemy types, with Joker being a knife enemy type that can also shoot a pistol, and Harley Quinn with her bat that seems to be a lot faster than the average enemy with the bat. Something I love is the teamwork you have to do in this boss battle, and although the animation is repetitive, the first couple of times is pretty cool, and I love the little detail of Harley saying stuff like "Leave Mr. J alone" if she hits you, and will be worried if you attack him at all.
Stay away from this!
And Joker doesn't seem to be that worried when Harley is attacked, showing how little he cares about her. Once the duo are defeated, Batgirl will toss the Batarang at a lock to open the cage that Gordon was trapped in. Joker then seems to take Harley as a hostage and then threatens to shoot her. He then attempts to shoot Robin, but Batgirl pushes him out of the way last second. Joker says that the next bullet is for her, and then parachutes away safely, leaving Harley behind for the police to capture. Overall, it's definitely not the most difficult boss battles in the Arkham games, but I think the matter of family, being a great DLC, having side characters team up together to take on a bigger villain is such a good idea. So with not much option, Joker and Harley are my favourite boss battles of Arkham Knight. As you can probably tell by now, I was pretty disappointed with the boss battles in Arkham Knight, to the point where I was unsure which I really felt was the worst, and any of these I mentioned could easily be switched to being the worst. Nightwing was a terrible and embarrassing boss fight in the Harley Quinn story pack, but I guess it would be difficult to make Harley Quinn beating Nightwing make sense, but also it is only a DLC, so they probably wouldn't have the time they had on the main game to make something unique. I was very close to picking the Arkham Knight, as it felt like it was all that build up, and the fact that this is a person who was trained up by Batman, knows his strengths and weaknesses, to end up just being a slightly more complex Predator section, which I thought was very disappointing and in my opinion was wasted potential. But there's someone who I think is just a bit worse than the Arkham Knight, that being Deathstroke. After the disappearance of the Arkham Knight, there was a new leader that had to take over the militia, this being an assassin that felt humiliated due to Batman defeating him so many years ago, that being Deathstroke, who we saw Batman go up against in Batman Arkham Origins. In order to go up against Deathstroke though, we need to take back the city from the militia. This means all bombs, checkpoints, watchtowers and APCs. Batman tells Deathstroke that he will be waiting for him at Grand Avenue.
Well, Batman, looks like you've been busy.
This occupation's over, Slade. You're done.
You think I care about the militia? About Gotham? I'm an assassin, Batman. And I came here tonight to do one thing.
Then do it. Grand Avenue, Slade. I'll be waiting.
Batman instructs Alfred to raise the bridges so that Deathstroke is unable to leave the island.
Alfred, raise the bridges. He's not getting off this island. Alfred, raise the bridges. He's not getting off Bleak Island.
You probably got extreme deja vu, as we did something extremely similar to what we did in the Arkham Knight Cloudburst fight, where you basically need to take out the surrounding Cobras and then take out the leader's tank. After doing enough damage to the tank, Deathstroke will jump out of his vehicle and Batman will knock him out in one hit. Then Batman will take him to the GCPD. To say this is a bad boss fight would be an understatement. For the entire fight to be a copy and paste boss battle and not to add anything additional to change it up is ridiculous in my personal opinion. Even worse is that Deathstroke's Arkham Origins boss battle made you think, and then the Arkham Knight's version felt pretty lifeless and something you could switch your brain off while playing. Overall, this is a terrible boss fight that easily did not need to be in the game, due to it being a reskin of Arkham Knight's Cloudburst fight and the character assassination of Deathstroke. This is why Deathstroke's tank battle is my least favourite boss fight of Arkham Knight. Finally, I will be doing a quick ranking of the best boss battles of every Arkham game, and then I will do the worst boss battles of every Arkham game. Thank you for Matro2 for this suggestion in my last ranking video. Starting off with the best boss battles, how it's going to work is number 4 will be my least favourite of the best, and number 1 being my favourite. So number 4 we have Joker and Harley's boss battle in Arkham Knight, which is definitely fun, but doesn't really compare to the others on the list. Number 3 we have Poison Ivy's boss battle in Arkham Asylum. It had a lot of variety, especially for the first Arkham game, but still not perfect. Number 2 we have Deathstroke's boss battle in Arkham Origins, an amazing boss battle that I can't really say much wrong about without nitpicking. And number 1, Mr. Freeze's boss battle in Arkham City. I just think this is an iconic boss battle and was so well received that it regularly is brought up in the discussion for the greatest video game boss battles of all time. Now on to the worst boss battles of each Arkham game. And how it's going to work is that number 4 will be the least bad of the worst, and number 1 will be the worst. So number 4, I will have to go with Joker's Titan boss battle in Arkham Asylum. I personally didn't dislike this, so I think it's an easy pick. Number 3 has to go to Black Mask's boss battle in Arkham Origins, which wasn't really awful, but Black Mask was way too easy to defeat. Number 2 has to go to Deadshot's boss battle in Arkham City, due to him being one hit, but at least his side mission was really fun. And number 1 is easily Deathstroke's boss battle in Arkham Knight, purely due to the disrespect of the character and the copy-pasting of the Cloudburst fight. Overall, I would say that the Batman Arkham games are amazing, but are a mixed bag when it comes to boss battles. Some amazing, some terrible. Be sure to like and subscribe, comment down below your thoughts if there are any boss battles you would change, and let me know your list of best and worst boss battles. That's all for now. My name is Fo, and Slan.